introduce our wonderful presenter.
So we want to welcome Amy Chaplin. She is a pianist, a teacher, a speaker, a blogger, and a podcaster. She shares her passions for piano teaching, organization, productivity, and good food at pianopantry.com and on the Piano Pantry Podcast. Her independent piano studio, Studio 88, is located in Bluffton, Indiana, and has become the most well-known and sought-after program in the area. She has had articles published on Alfred Music Blog and in the Piano Bench digital magazine, and has appeared on the Key Ideas podcast with Layla Vitz. One of Amy's former sessions, The Wild West of Marketing, How Do You Know What Really Works, is now part of Tim Toppin's membership site, Top Music Company. She has she has a master's in piano pedagogy and performance from Ball State University, where she graduated magna cum laude in 2011. She also holds a bachelor in music ed, K-12 from Huntington University. And she was given the MTNA Star Award for Student Excellence. In 2016, she was awarded an MTNA Teacher Enrichment Grant to obtain a certification in music learning theory and its practical application for piano through the Gordon Institute for Music Learning. She is an active member of Music Teachers National Association, and she has served in multiple leadership roles at the state and local levels, including President of Indiana Music Teachers Association, Vice President of Membership, website editor, and AIM development, and is now serving as a trustee of the association. Welcome to Amy Chaplin.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Mainline Music Teachers. I can't tell you how tickled I was when I was invited back after just speaking to you last year. So I was very honored, and I'm really happy to be with you here today, both those from your group as well as anyone else that is joining us. Miriam covered a lot of it, but just to kind of precursor this a little bit, while I'm a piano teacher, when I started my blog back in 2015, something like that, I really wasn't sure where I wanted to go with it. Like she mentioned, I enjoy like cooking as well. And I thought, well, maybe I would go and do something with that and have some kind of crossover. I really just didn't know where it was going to go. So the title Piano Pantry, I felt was appropriate no matter what I did with it. And what I've discovered is that as I'm sharing with teachers and blogging and doing stuff, I've really come to enjoy supporting teachers through organization and productivity and managing their digital workspaces. So who knew? You never know where things are going to take you. A lot of times our professional development is focused on teaching and learning, which is only half of it, unfortunately, especially in today's digital age. And, technology in the last 10 years is just skyrocketing, and there's just always new things going on. And, being organized is something we can all use a little help with, even those that are organized. It's something we have to be intentional about and just maintain and always kind of be considering like what is working for you and is what you're doing right now actually working for you. Last year, I did a session here for you guys called Evolutionary Entrepreneurialism, which I love that session. And it's a really popular one. It's about, growing with your studio and letting it work for you in your life. This session is actually one of my oldest sessions, but the crazy thing is it's still relevant. Like it's always evolving, because technology is always evolving and it's always something that's impacting our lives. I'm actually going to go ahead and share my screen here with you. So Taming the Jungle, I titled this because I feel like especially when technology, 10, 15 years ago started coming on, it was very overwhelming starting to learn a lot of things that are out there. And the thing is that's not really changed, honestly. Every day there are things coming at us, new resources, new podcasts, new content creators, new apps that help us organize everything that we do. And the crazy thing is it seems like even though we have all these amazing programs, it can be harder to be organized in a way. Actually, if you want to go ahead and scan this QR code, I do have a handout you can grab, and I am actually going to also post a link in the chat for those that might want to just get it from your desktop as well. Let me do this for you real quick. Whoops. My screen just changed. There we go. Pull that down. There, I've got multiple screens going on here and it's not wanting to behave. Okay, chat. Yes. Here we go. This should be the link to get it directly. Okay. So as I was saying, we have all these different tools like Miriam was sharing, and I've got several that I'm going to be sharing with you today, but it just seems like there's always new ones and there's better ones and they do this and they don't do that. I think it's safe to say that we all, like I said, struggle to be organized. So what I've done today is I have kind of wrapped up for you about 6 different things that I feel like we as teachers struggle with daily in digital formats. So we struggle with file storage. We have tons of documents that come at us. We have all these free downloads, which is the worst. I mean, it's good and it's bad. We have all these free downloads. So we have digital sheet music, we have free resources, we have games, handouts from presentations like this. We deal with communication. So both in our email and our devices now, we have all these notifications and different things coming at us day to day. You also probably have a ton of like subscribed newsletters, right, in your email. The third area we deal with is content. So just new information coming at us, keeping up with people that you like following online, internet bookmarks, things like that. The fourth area would be media. So photos, videos. The fifth area, thoughts. So just like capturing ideas and even capturing, like, as Miriam was saying, like student lists, like tracking student repertoire and stuff like that. And sixth, just office management, like what digital tools are we using to plan our lessons, to give assignments, to bill clients, all kinds of different stuff like that. So I want to ask you, before we get going into this, I want you to consider, what is your biggest pain point right now? Because it can be very overwhelming, again, to see all of these things and, oh, we're going to talk about different ways that you can kind of have mindsets to organize some of these things and to manage them. But you don't need to do all of that, right? We're going to talk about lots of stuff, but you need to kind of hone in on what is the area that you need to focus on right now and try to take that away from today. All right, so our first area is file storage. There are several different options for file storage these days. When we talk about file storage, we're talking about PDFs, Microsoft Word documents, Excel, Publisher, Mac Pages, and more. I always like to kind of think about the old days of how we did things. You remember we used to have those things called thumb drives that we would stick inside of our computer? And that's how we stored things, or it was stored on our computer. But now we have things like Dropbox and iCloud and Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive. These are all cloud-based programs that can store our documents. And the nice thing is we can retrieve them from anywhere. Dropbox was the very first one that I used, and I loved it. And you can get 2 gigs of free space. But with Dropbox, it's like $10 a month to upgrade. So it can get a little expensive quickly. iCloud is a part of Apple's suite of products, so iCloud Drive, and you get 5 gigs of free space, which is more than twice what Dropbox has. But keep in mind with iCloud storage space that it's not just your files. It's going to include photos, videos, apps on your phone or your tablet. And when you sync all of this, that can quickly fill up, right? We all know that these days. When you upgrade iCloud, it's only $1 a month, so most storage space is quite cheap. And 50 gigs is more than enough for most of us. Google Drive is part of Google's suite of products, and it houses things like Google Docs, Google Sheets, which is its version of Microsoft Excel, Google Slides, which is like Microsoft's PowerPoint, Google Forms, and Google Photos. So all of the space that you have with Google includes all of those things, including your Gmail account. Now, it's nice you get 15 gigs for free, but if you have an email that has, 15,000 emails, you might be taking up a lot of space in your Google account quickly. OneDrive is cloud storage from Microsoft, and the pricing of that is all very similar. And as Miriam was saying, you can get actually, I think 50 gigs of free space if you pay for the Microsoft 365 Office, which basically keeps all of your Microsoft programs like Excel and Publisher and Word up to date. So hopefully this kind of gives you a good comparison picture of all of the different cloud-based storage options out there. What you use has a lot to do with how you work, what your storage space needs, and just what you like. If you do not currently use a cloud-based drive, there are 3 reasons why I hope you will consider moving into cloud-based drives. 1, it's a guaranteed backup. 2, you can get access from multiple devices, so your desktop, your laptop, iPad, or mobile device. And 3, the cloud drive gives you the ability to easily share or collaborate with others on files. And here's a few quick examples of how I've used Google Drive. And I feel like Google is the best for sharing. And, honestly, sometimes you don't have to commit yourself to one. Like I have a couple of different drives that I use file storage in. And the nice thing about that is you can, if you don't mind having more than one file drive, you can take advantage of the free space on all of them before you actually have to pay. So one thing that I used Google Drive for in the past was as a lesson or a class folder. I did like a ukulele class, and I would put all of their PDF files in there, all of their weekly assignments, their chord charts, and everything. The second way that you can use drives for sharing is to collaborate. So a friend and I have used Google Slides and collaborated on developing the slides for a presentation in Google Slides. And the third way was when I was state president of IMTA is we got all of the organization's stuff out of thumb drives that were being passed around from chair to chair, every couple of years, and got it all into Google Drive. So now all of our stuff for the Indiana State Association is in one account, which the president manages. All right, so now that we know where to store our digital files, let's keep talking about getting them organized. And I think this is one thing that most teachers could use a little bit of help with. So I like thinking about my digital files and a lot of things that I organize in life, starting with big categories. So think about like, what are 5 or 6 different areas of your life that you manage on a daily basis? For me, I do, the first level of file storage is personal, studio, professional, church, and piano pantry. So that's all I see when I go into my main drive, those 5 folders, that's it. From there, I break my file folders down even further. So we'll use just the studio as an example, and I would go and do folders inside of that level and do things like method materials, studio management, teaching aids, and sheet music. And then from there, you go another level. So under sheet music, I might do sheet music by composer name. So I might have the names of different composers that I have a lot of digital download files for. And so that you're just not having one big file or just a couple, you're really layering it in a way that has some structure. So let's talk about document naming. And here's where we get into a mess sometimes, because we download documents and they're titled in a way that maybe you don't search for it or you don't think about it because it's just titled with how the person titled it that's giving it to you. I think it's very important for us to rename every document that you download immediately. And you want to choose a structure that works well for you so that, and that you can be consistent with. So find a format and stick to it. Just think about how do you think about your documents? Do you tend to search for sheet music by a composer name? Or do you like to search for a piece of music by level or by style, like classical or pop or chord chart or something like that? How would you find yourself wanting to look for that? One of the benefits is not only being able to find your files easily using your search bar. So basically, as long as your files are named well, you don't have to feel crazy about getting them organized into files as much, right? I think that that's actually the first step, is just naming them properly. I like to use underscores between each of my words because it gives a really nice visual break of different aspects of the download that I'm using. So the first level I like to do is more of the type. What is it? Is it a game? Is it a worksheet? Is it a teaching aid? And the reason I do this first and not just like the name of the game is because it allows me to see how many games do I have for this particular concept? How many worksheets do I have? And I can see, wow, I've actually got 15 worksheets about, C, D, E, F, G. Do I really need 15 different worksheets for this? And then I like to follow that by concept. So maybe intervals or rhythm or note names. And then the end of the title is the actual name of the download, right? So you can find it in various ways. And when you sort it in your file manager, you can visually see things more clearly. All right, so those are just a few tips. So determine where things are going to be stored, try to be consistent. Use cloud-based storage. And once you decide how you want things named, don't feel like you have to go do it all at once, but just start from where you're at. Like, okay, from today, I'm going to start renaming these things in this way. And then as you can, go back and start renaming things as you use them. It doesn't have to be a big, overwhelming project. All right, so the next area to touch on is communication. So email and notifications. If you want to raise your hand if anybody has an email inbox like this. And it's okay. A lot of people do. It's so easy for these days for our email to get out of control. Even for someone like me that I really work to not necessarily get inbox zero, but to process it regularly. It is amazing how fast it just goes bonkers. So I have a few tips for you. First of all, when you are in email, let your time in your email be for communication. Excuse me. Man, I'm having some stuff this morning. Let your time be for communication. It is very easy when you are processing email to go down the rabbit hole of, oh, here's a newsletter from this person, and oh, they have a new piece of music. I'm going to go listen to that, and I'm going to go read this article, and then the next thing you know, you still have 25 emails in your inbox that haven't been processed. So as much as you can, I try to actually avoid doing those things. Like if I see a newsletter come in or something that's interesting, I want to read, I save it. I don't remove it from my inbox yet, but I mark it as read and it stays in my inbox. And then at the end of the week, I'll take a little extra time to go back and look through some of those things. But otherwise, my daily time in email is just for processing. 2, like I said, have a dedicated time you spend in email. So maybe it's okay, 30 minutes at the beginning of every day, and then I don't touch it in the middle of the day while I'm teaching and doing lesson plans. And then I do 15 minutes at the end of the day, and that's it. So have dedicated time. Number 3, know that your email is something you actually have to be proactive with. Have a plan, just like we talked about the digital downloads, and stick with it. You really do have to kind of manage it, or else it will just control you. So a few tips here. 1, if an email comes in and you can action it in 2 minutes or less, so if you can reply to it, if you can go do and register whatever you need to register for, or whatever it is that you need to do it then. Don't just read it and then, oh, I'll go do that later. Sometimes even if it's something that can be done in 5 minutes less, honestly, because you think about, you've already taken the time to read that email. Your mind is already thinking about that. If you wait and you put it aside, then it's almost a waste of time. You have to go back again, and then it's in your mind. So if you can do it right away, do it then. 2, keep the mindset that your inbox is not for storing and saving things. Your inbox is supposed to be a place for processing your email. Think about your mailbox, your physical mailbox at home. You get mail, you look at it, you process it, you sort it, you pay bills, and so forth. That's what our email inboxes should be for. It should be a place for actioning things, not for storing all the emails that you've ever, gotten that you're afraid to delete. So the one tool I have for you that you really want to start to learn to use is your archive, or in Gmail, it's called All Mail. And I find a lot of people do not understand how the All Mail works. while I'm thinking of it, I should have put this in here, but I do have a podcast episode from the beginning of last year about this archive, the email management. I think it's episode like number 52 or something in that range, if you want to go back and find it. But what the archive is you can, like if it's in your inbox, you hit archive at the top. It will send it into your archive. And what it really does is it doesn't really send it anywhere. What it does is it just removes it from your inbox and it just exists in your email now. So our digital tools, whether it's your file explorer where you're searching for files or your email inbox, the search bars are so powerful. We do not have to worry anymore about organizing things that much, right? As long as, like with the files, I said, if you name it well, you can find it. It's the same with email. I have almost never had a hard time finding an email that I needed to find. And if you remove your inbox label, just remove it from your inbox, it's still in your email. Now, I think sometimes people can get a little bit afraid of this if you don't quite understand it. And I get that. If you don't see it in your inbox, it's hard to understand where it's at. So if it makes you more comfortable, I, more than anything, just want to see you get these 13,000 emails out of your inbox, right? So select all of these emails that are older than, say, a month, create a folder and just put them in a folder, or you're basically labeling them. So you're not really like moving them necessarily, but call it at process. And this just means like, this is all my old stuff that I know is in my email. I'm just scared to delete it. I don't want to get rid of it. And you know where it's at. A couple other folders I might recommend if it makes you feel better and you're not sure if you want to do the all mail thing is at calendar. That's like links for Zoom meetings, things like this, things that you register for, and you know that they're right there in that folder. And at orders is one that I've used a lot too. So when I get receipts that come in, you know, stuff for taxes, it'd be easier to keep that all just filed into orders. Now, I do recommend using the at symbol because when you see your folders on the side of your email, these symbols actually order before letters. So it's just a way of ordering things. And you can even use numbers if you wanted to in a different way. So, all right. So where are we at here? Okay. So number 4, enlist tools to help. Your email client has lots of capabilities like filters that you can use. If you kind of play around in your settings, you can create rules. Like in the past, I've created a rule in Gmail that anytime an email came in that used the word order or receipt, it would automatically label it or tag it with that folder orders. So that helps it. And you can say, don't even put it in my inbox. I could just automatically label it here and mark it as read. If your email inbox is really out of control, I highly recommend a program. It's a website called unroll.me. This is a subscription management tool. And I don't use this currently, but I recommend using it as like a first step in getting your email inbox under control, right? And so what it does is you're going to go to their website, you're going to sign up, you're going to tell them what your email is, and they are going to go out and search the internet for anything you've ever subscribed to, gather it all into one place, and send you a daily digest. So you can see, here are all my subscriptions that have come in for today. That way you're not getting them in your inbox as separate emails. So you get one digest instead of 15 different emails. And then from there, you can tell it if you want to unsubscribe, and they will control that for you. The nice thing is that those emails, they still exist in your email, so you could still go find it in your all mail. It's not like they completely remove it. It's still there. It's just keeps it out of your inbox, basically. It is very life-changing. So highly recommend unroll.me. All right, so those are some of my tips, not all of them, but we're just kind of getting some broad highlights today to help you manage different digital tools. All right, so while we're still in communication, a few things about notifications. With the digital, I actually do digital coaching with teachers, both online and through an in-person retreat. So it's like this presentation on steroids. We go really deep, we go really step by step. But one thing I always like for teachers to walk away with when they work with me is to know that you don't have to take things for their default. Just because you are using an app doesn't mean that you have to like use it exactly the way that it was set up. You have tons of controls and tons of options. Like in social media, like Facebook, for example, like you don't have to let notifications come at you in certain directions, and you don't have to follow all of the groups on your timeline. Like you have control of different types of notifications and settings. So pay attention. And if you're getting all these notifications coming to you, dinging all the time, then go into your settings and change it, right? You can turn them off and you can get them in different ways. So there's two major places I want you to consider. One is social media. Like I mentioned, Facebook, like your timeline and the groups that you follow. I'm going to show you a few screenshots. And then two would be like your devices, so your smartphones and your tablets. So here's a few examples. In YouTube, you have all your subscriptions, and when you're in the person's channel, you can actually change. There's a little button, looks like a bell, and you can get notifications or you can't get notifications. So the notifications are up in the top right-hand corner, and you can see I've got like 9+ on this screen. Sometimes those also come to your computer if you have it turned on, and you might actually get a pop-up or even on your phone. Another good place to control all of your notifications in YouTube is under the link youtube.com/feed/channels. Now you can get to it on YouTube, but it's a little bit sometimes tricky to find it. So that's why I wanted to give you the direct link, and you can see all of your subscriptions in one place. So this would be a great place to go and like clean up who you're actually following, turn off notifications on individual ones, or however you want to do it. So basically just know that you have control over some of these things. On Facebook, if you click on your notifications in the top right-hand corner, sometimes there are different things on each individual notification. So if you click on those three dots, for example, the one I have highlighted here, it says this is in a group, only get notifications about friends' posts from this group. So you can decide, like a lot of times you'll get notifications from groups and it's just like a highlight, something that's popular. And I'm like, why am I getting a notification about this? I have not even commented on this. Is nothing, and it's because you have it turned on to send you notifications about highlights. So you can actually manage notifications directly there. There's another one like remove me from this conversation. Like sometimes you'll comment on somebody's post and then you get 50 other people commenting, and it'll let you know that all these people are commenting. You can actually turn that off in this notifications area. All right, so in groups like Facebook groups, there's a place where you can manage your notifications directly. And I don't know if I have a screenshot on this one or not. I think I show this later. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't go in depth on that one. And then in your phones, your notifications are managed under your settings and just under notifications. So when you go into that notifications area on your phone, it'll show all the different apps. So if you're getting a pop-up all the time from Walmart or something like that, like, ad deals and things like that, you want to go into your notifications on your phone and turn those off. Okay. So our third area of content that we manage every day, so we've covered file digital downloads, and we've covered communication like your email and notifications. This is content. So like email subscriptions and just following like your favorite bloggers and websites, people like that. I feel like this is perhaps one of the most challenging. I personally follow like 100 piano blogs, and I know it sounds insane, but I'm going to show you a tool that I use that makes it really easy. And I think there's really two parts to this. One, we have your email subscriptions. And then two, you have new content, like making sure you see like new posts or different things that are available. Now, generally, I would say if you are subscribing to someone on email that is only putting blog posts in your email inbox, don't do that. I have a better way that I would like to show you that I think is more streamlined for following new content. However, most people these days, when you subscribe, you're going to get a lot more. You're going to get, updates, newsletters, you're going to get discounts sent to you, notifications of new music and stuff. So most of the time, I would like to say, unsubscribe to all these things, but most of the time you kind of still need to be subscribed to them. So there's three ways that we can keep up with people and find new things that are going on. One, through your email, just keeping those email subscriptions and newsletters from people. Two, Facebook, so like following their page on Facebook. Or three, what I'm really excited to tell you about today is an RSS reader. So first of all, let's jump into Facebook. This is a little bit of just managing the things that come at you. So if you follow a lot of your favorite people on Facebook, or you have different groups that you follow, you can manage how much of that you actually see in your timeline. So here, if you're on your home screen in Facebook and you click on groups, I find a lot of people don't even realize you can do this. You just think, well, I'm in the group, I'm going to see things pop up on my timeline. But I like this because it's a way of weeding out like people I'm connected to and then groups that I'm following. So if you click on groups, you can actually go in and it's a whole separate feed. It's a news feed with just the stuff that you're following in groups, not personal things. So I think this is really great. And what happens is there's a setting inside of groups here called follow the group or unfollow the group. Okay. If you follow a group, it means that things that are posted in the group will show on your main home news feed. Okay. And sometimes it can get bogged down. If you unfollow the group, it means you're still in the group, but in order to see posts, you just have to either go into the group or you have to go and look at your group news feed. I hope that makes sense. So if you're following them, things that are posted will show up on your main news feed. If you feel like your main news feed is bogged down and you don't want to have to see every post that every single person like puts in this group, then you're not going to see everyone, but sometimes it can get to be a lot. Then you can unfollow the group and then just use it to go in when you want to search for something. I think that's very useful to know. Okay. So the last thing, you can follow people in email, you can follow groups, Facebook groups, or you can use what's called an RSS reader. RSS stands for really simple syndication. It is basically a digital newspaper. You can customize digital content and it comes to you instead of you having to go to it. Like I remember thinking, again, back in the days, I like thinking about how we did things in the past. Maybe in 2006-ish, some of the early bloggers like Natalie Weber and Wendy Stevens and Susan Parody, I would sit at my computer and I would go, navigate to their websites and just see what was posted that was new. No way, that is not happening these days, right? So sites like this help bring everything to us. Now, this isn't necessarily a place like your email subscription, like where they, communicate with you, hey, I've got a sale going on, da, da, da. This is like blog posts mostly. So you're going to go into this site. You would type in the name of the site you want to follow. Like here's a Piano Pantry as an example. And then it will bring it up if it finds it. And then you just click follow. And then when I do that, you can see it's going to show all of the latest blog posts in order here in like a newspaper format. Sometimes the article is there in its entirety, and sometimes you have to click on the link to visit the website, which is fine to me. So the benefit of this for bloggers like me is if I let the whole article appear there, you would never come to my website. So this forces people to at least get onto your website and you get more views of your posts and stuff like that. So people are actually seeing it. You can even save articles. So they've got a save button. Like I've got a button here for read later. And if I have stuff I can't read in the moment, I can come back and read it later. You can also, at the top, there's more buttons for like sending it into OneNote or to Evernote. You can email it, different things like that. You can see over here on the side, I created different like folders. So personal, homemaking, so it's like a lot of recipe websites. The kitchen, this is actually a cooking website that I enjoy, but they publish so much. I don't like it in my feed with all my other recipe sites because they post a lot. And then anything that's business studio related. So this is where I have like 100 piano blogs that I follow, and anything that's new, it will just pop up here. And literally, once a day I jump on here and I scroll through new posts to see if there's anything interesting. And it takes me like 2 minutes most of the time. It's also a great way to follow recipe websites that you like as well. So if I haven't convinced you that an RSS reader is useful, there's a quote from Seth Godin that I just love that nails it on the head. He is a marketing guru, if anybody's heard of him before. He says, other than writing a daily blog, a practice that's free and priceless, reading more blogs is one of the best ways to become smarter, more effective, and more engaged in what's going on. It's the last great online bargain. Good blogs aren't focused on the vapid race for clicks and other forms of social media. Instead, they patiently inform and challenge and use your time with respect. I love that. I think that's awesome. Here's the thing though, he says, Google doesn't want you to read blogs. They shut down their RSS reader and they're dumping a lot of blog subscriptions into the Gmail promo folder where they languish unread. And Facebook doesn't want you to read blogs either. They have cut back on their organic sharing that blogs have benefited from so that bloggers will pay to boost their traffic. But RSS still works. It's still free. It's still unfiltered, uncensored, and spam free. You visit the page every single day and you can easily keep up to date in less time than it takes you to watch a lousy TV show. So RSS might be a good option for you. All right. So our fourth area to chat about today is media, and we're talking photos and videos. Now, a few years ago, I would have mentioned that there are two ways we can store photos. One was by using a cloud-based service, as you see here, or one was to manually remove them from your device to your computer. I mean, that just seems so crazy nowadays, doesn't it? I remember there was a period, I don't know how long ago, maybe 8 years ago or something, when we had these, these photo streams and all photos. And I was like, I don't like this. Like, I want to be able to organize my pictures into folders. I want to be able to cut them out and I want to be able to move them and save them on my computer. It took me a little while to wrap my head around this idea of these photo streams. And the thing I had to learn, I think, is that I kind of had to let go of the control of organizing my pictures. And now I realize how brilliant it is. The photo streams, you can find things so easily by date. You don't really need to organize things into folders. It's kind of like your email in the archive. You do not have to go crazy organizing things into email anymore. The search functions are so powerful. So 3 of the most popular storage programs out there: Apple Photos, which I'm guessing the majority of you have. It's the default on most Apple devices or Mac computers. Google Photos, which is actually what I use. And I'm going to show you a couple of reasons why I like Google Photos. But as I mentioned earlier on, Google Photos is a part of the 15 gigs for free. You get Google Photos, you get Google Drive, you get your Gmail. That's all a part of that 15 gigs free storage. And then there's also Amazon Photos, which I don't know a lot about, but just wanted to mention it because it is an option. If you have Amazon Prime, you can get Amazon Photos for free. So one of the reasons that I love Google Photos is that it has an incredible face recognition power. And what you do is it will recognize faces and it'll say, is this person? And then you name that person. So like this student, I would name her face as Ellie. Anytime I take a picture of her, it will automatically put her photo. Actually, there's 2 things. One, as long as I name her photo, I can search in the search bar and just type her name in my photo stream, and it will just pop up every photo that's ever been taken of her. 2, I can actually create an album, a photo album, and I can tell that photo album to add pictures that use her face. So anytime something is added, a picture is taken that has her face on it, it will appear in the photo album. Now, the only reason you would really need to do the photo album is if you wanted to share it with students, which I've done in the past. I'll send a link to the parents and they can join the album. And then anytime I add a new picture, they get notified if they join the album. 2, videos don't always add automatically to the album. So I've created albums for all my students, even though you can easily search for their name and all of their pictures will come up. Videos aren't quite the same. So if I want to make sure that all the videos I've taken for my student are in one place, I always add it to an album. And then this has been a beautiful way for me at the end of the year to do evaluations. And again, I have a podcast episode on this one if you want to find it. I think it's maybe something like episode 22 or something like that. It was one of the early ones. And I talk about using videos and for evaluations, because it's a brilliant way to show, to demonstrate like, wow, look at this picture or this video of you playing this, this piece that only was one hand. And look, the next year you were playing with both hands together. And look, now you're using the pedal. And to me, that is so much more beneficial and so much easier as a teacher than writing like a formal report of, well, the student has learned, 10 5-finger patterns. The parents don't really know what that means. But just being able to show a video of them playing is very powerful and they love it. Okay, so as I was mentioning, the search function of Google Photos is amazing. So not only can you do facial recognition, but you can get locations. So rather than saving all of my pictures that I took from the conference, MTNA conference in Spokane, Washington, into a folder, they're just in my photo stream, and all I have to do is type in the location and all the pictures that I've ever taken in Spokane, Washington will pop up. You can even search for things like screenshots. And this is super beneficial if you want to clean up your photos. So type in screenshots, all these pictures that you've taken, you can go through and it will pull them all up and you can easily start deleting some things out. You can even look for things like dogs, right? If you want to look for pictures of your dog. So it's pretty amazing. Okay, so a couple tips here for just managing your media on a daily basis. One, delete your duplicates regularly. I literally, just like Feedly, going in and looking at my RSS reader that takes 2 minutes every day, I go into my photos real quick at the end of the day, just do a quick little overview, delete duplicates, multiple photos. Like I was saying before, you can search screenshots and delete. Sometimes I'll post something to Instagram and I'll have it automatically saved. So just go in every day and clean it up, and it makes a huge difference instead of trying to go and do it like once a year or something like that. So Apple, now one of the benefits of Apple Photos, I will say over Google Photos, is that Apple has a delete duplicates tool. It's like, I'm picturing, I don't have an Apple, but I know with teachers I've seen, it's on the left-hand sidebar down there somewhere down, and it just says delete duplicates, and it will actually go through and find them for you. Unfortunately, Google doesn't do this, is the one thing I don't like about it. But yeah, if you have Apple, definitely check that out. And then as I mentioned earlier, don't feel like you have to organize your photos anymore. Rely on your photo stream, rely on the search function and dates. You can find things pretty easily. All right, our fifth area to cover are just thoughts, like your everyday to-do lists, life management things, projects, notes, so forth. There are several different tools out here that can help us. And I think that some of these are on different levels with each other. The thing with all of these different tools that are available is, I think the best thing to do is to try some out. Like, I know it's overwhelming that there are so many different things out there, but our brains work differently, right? I have used several different things over the years, like Trello and Asana, and they just don't work for my brain. Like, I know Trello is a program that uses like Kanban style boards, if you know what those are. It just doesn't work for me, but some people absolutely love it. So I would encourage you to, if you're looking for something, like if you're thinking, oh, I just need something that works better for like managing my students or making grocery lists or whatever that is, created a few accounts on a few different things and play around with it a little bit. Like, honestly, sometimes I can log into an account and within 5 minutes, I can know if I'm going to like the program or not. So it's not necessarily a big commitment to spend time trying out several different programs. Maybe even watch like a video or two, just seeing other people work on it. So 3 different levels of types of apps. I think a lot of us, I'm guessing, probably use some of the basic ones like Apple Notes or Google Keep. These are very basic level apps. You can take notes, you can create lists, you can add images and stuff, but there's not a whole lot of customization options there or organization options. The next level, I would say, are a little more specialized. Like I mentioned, Trello has Kanban style boards, Asana and Monday. Some of these are even more focused on project management. In my retreat that I do I mentioned earlier, like I do the digital coaching and I have an in-person retreat. And one of the very first groups I had a teacher here who we were talking about like how to organize just things that you find every day on the internet, saving things, clipping things, making lists. And she was like, honestly, my biggest pain point is she worked for Top Music Co. and she worked for another organization. So she had all of these different things coming at her from different places, and she needed more of a project management tool. She wasn't trying to find something just for herself. It was managing lots of different projects from different areas. So for her, she is using ClickUp, actually, which I didn't include on here, but ClickUp is another one that's a little bit more specialized, a little bit more project management based. And then I would say you have ones like Milanote, Evernote, Notion, and maybe even Microsoft OneNote, as Miriam, I put that on the same level probably as Evernote and Notion, where you can really save a lot of different formats into these programs. And I think that's one of the biggest things to keep in mind that's important in finding a program that works for you is, can you capture multiple different types of information, different types of formats? We want to be able to find it in a way that's useful. And there's a quote here from Michael Hyatt. He said, information that you can't find or use isn't information, it's just noise. And I think that's really important in this age when you're downloading a lot of things and tracking stuff. Like if you can't find it, then it's not really useful to you. It's not really information. Okay, so as I said, you want to be able to save different types of formats. I'm going to highlight here for you quickly one program that I've used a ton in the past and have talked about a lot on the Piano Pantry blog in the past, and that is Evernote. You can save video links, you can save Microsoft documents, you can clip emails, you can connect to Google Drive files, you can save images, all kinds of different stuff. This is something that most programs do these days, but whatever app or program you use, you want to make sure that you can access it from your mobile, from your web, and from your desktop. You can share anything into these programs generally by using the share function on your phone or what's called an extension or a web clipper on your internet browser. So Evernote has a really wonderful web clipper that will clip all kinds of things off of the internet so easily. And I'll show you a couple of those in a second. So you can get things into programs like Evernote by sharing it. Like if it's on the internet, you share it from your phone or you clip it from the internet and it will be sent into the program. You can also create just a basic text note, just like Microsoft Word, with all kinds of formatting options. Inside of that note, you can add pictures, you can add text, you can add headings, you can add links, you can add files. I use it for basic note lists for like students. So like listing the students' technique, their repertoire, different downloads that I've used for them. You can save PDF files. So you can see behind this image here is a spring recital program. So I uploaded the recital program and then I tagged every single student that participated in the program in that PDF note. And rather than the note being duplicated, a tag basically means it'll just show up no matter which student's name I look for. That one note will show up with the recital program in it. So one thing I like about Evernote is PDF files like this. It will show you the whole view. It's not just like a link or a file image. It will open it up and you can scroll through the PDF file in its entirety. You can save files. Now, keep in mind, programs like OneNote or Evernote, it's not like a place where you're going to actually store all your files. It's not a file manager. It's not replacing that, but the fact that you can save a file here is really convenient for just those odd times where you might need to save an individual file. You can see I got Word, Excel, and a Google Drive file. You can clip from the internet. So this is the web clipper I was mentioning earlier. And this pop-up over here when I click on that web clipper, this will come up and it asks you, how do you want to clip this particular web page? Do you want to do the whole entire article, which will just clip the whole page? Do you want to clip just a simplified article, which is a beautiful clip because it cleans up all the junk, all the ads that might be on the page and gives you a really nice clean article? Do you want to clip a bookmark? So literally just the browser link, it'll just save the link. Or do you want to take a screenshot? So you could just take a screenshot of that web page and it will take a picture for you. You can even save photos directly. Like you could just upload a photo from a file, or using the web clipper, you can see here, I've right-clicked on the picture on the internet and it says Evernote web clipper, and then you just clip the image to Evernote. Here's what it looks like to clip a video from YouTube. Nice, clean, cleans up everything. Here's a MIDI file, which I think is awesome. I love that I can put, this is a student's composition, and it's the MIDI file of them, of it in the notation app. And then I have the PDF file in the same place. So you can store different types of files inside of the same note together. So just all kinds of different things that you can save. Again, whether you use Evernote or something else, I think the most useful thing to consider is making sure that you can save different types of things in different types of formats. Okay. So, all right, moving on to our sixth and final area here. This is studio business management. Now, these last couple of ones we're going to cover a little bit more quickly, not as much in-depth thing to talk about as some of the others, but I think the pandemic has definitely helped a lot of us in so many of these areas. Like I was telling my husband last night, I was like, this is one of my older sessions. Like I've been doing this one since like 2016, and it's always relevant. Like there's always things that we can talk about. But I thought, wow, like I'm thinking like even just in the last few years, I remember teachers that didn't know about a lot of these things at all. Like, and I'm guessing like some of the drive file managers. And I'm thinking now that we've all been through the pandemic, I just think it's amazing. Like you can see the growth of teachers, and that we've all kind of been forced to learn some more of these things and implement some more of these things. And it's not, I don't want to say the session is not relevant, but it's just cool knowing how far that we've come, basically. That 8 years ago, I had teachers that didn't know anything about, why would I use I had to convince people to use a cloud drive for files, Anyway, so studio business management. There are probably, I would say these are the two most well-known programs out there. My music staff has been out there for quite a while. Duet Partner actually took over the original, what was it called? Music Teacher's Helper, right? Music Teacher's Helper. And I think it's been Duet now for 2 or 3 years, actually. And I would strongly recommend a program like this, especially if you have a larger studio. I would say if more than 20 to 25 students, an app like this is a place that you can save all of your family's information. You can do your invoicing, you can take online payments, you can track your mileage. A lot of them, like you can build your own website through them. If you don't have a website and you would like to have one, they will help you build it through the program. There's a calendar for your studio. My music staff, when I was using it, I even had they have a contact form that I would embed onto my website. And then when people signed up, inquiring for lessons, it would send the form into my music staff and put the student's information automatically in there for me, which was great. And that's especially great if you have like a waiting list that you're keeping. So yeah, definitely something to consider. Of course, you always have to weigh, price versus ease of use and the tools that you get. I mentioned that I'm not using my music staff now because I've transferred some of my stuff into Notion, and I'm using an online payment program, which I'm going to share with you now, that I didn't necessarily need the payment processing from one of these business management tools. So you just kind of have to weigh like, what are your needs and what would work for you? So as far as taking online payments, I have been using for, 8 years or something, an app called CoinHop. And the reason I like CoinHop, it is one of the cheapest ones fee-wise that I've been able to find. Most Stripe payments, you get like 2.5% plus transaction fees. CoinHop is only 1% for the teacher. It doesn't charge anything to the student as long as they connect their bank account. And what it does is it does automatic withdrawal. Now, if the student chooses to pay by credit card, which they can through CoinHop, it does charge them a little fee, but they would be notified of that upfront. But for us as teachers, it is such a minimal fee. I'm actually moving all my students now onto automatic monthly payments. I am actually even getting away from annual payments because I don't want to have to invoice people. It's like when they register for lessons, they're going to go on a monthly payment plan for an annual set of lessons. And I don't have to worry about it or pause, monthly payments in the summer or anything like that. There's another one called Wave that I've heard about. I've not used it. I think it's a little bit of a business management, like finances type of app that you can take payments through and maybe manage like your receipts and bills and things like that. A couple other things I listed down here that are free but not automatic for online payments. You could use Google Wallets, Venmo, Cash App, Stripe. You could even have clients at least just set up an automatic check from their bank account. Okay. And then lastly, so we got business management, taking online payments, and now just briefly student assignments. So this is another one of those things that, well, we all have experienced this now after the pandemic and having to do stuff online. Many of us have probably went through the whole thing with Tenora last fall. It was like the only one that was out there for the longest time. And now luckily we have all kinds of different ones to choose from. Vivid Practice, Better Practice, Practice Space, Meta Practice. These are great, especially if you have online students. If you like to give listening assignments to your students. I use Vivid Practice now, but I only use it with half my students because I finally told them if they're not going to use the online, then I'm not going to pay for it. So some of my students use it and some of my students don't, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, lots of different options out there. The nice thing about using an app is that you can communicate with students. So if they have questions, you can answer questions in like a message feed. You can create databases of your repertoire. So some of the books that I use all the time, it is so nice to have the assignment already in there with a file attached, a listening file, and then you just have to send it to them. So lots of ease of use in some of these student assignment apps. Okay, so again, like I said, we're just going to very briefly touch on some of those. I hope that you were able to weed out in your mind what are some of the things that I need most in this moment. You might be like, oh, I need to do a lot of this stuff, or I need this, this, and this. But I would encourage you to say, no, like what's the one thing that feels most urgent to me that I need to really rethink and start changing, and just start there. So try to start small. So I think that is it. I mentioned before, if you need any extra help, I do digital coaching with teachers, kind of in a progressive manner. Actually, the digital coaching that I do was started this session. I've been doing it for so long. It was kind of the basis for it. So we talk about a lot of the same things, but I walk you progressively through step-by-step things for getting some of these things under control. And we do it together in like a small group setting. So if you're interested, my next session is coming up in January, January 22nd, and the early bird discount ends on Friday. You can get information on pianopantry.com/digital. And the retreat that I do, the in-person retreat, which is the same content, it's really nice though to do it in person because I am right there helping you figure out what's going on with your computer sometimes. That is linked in that same page as well. You can find it, but there's my email. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. And I know I've been seeing stuff in the chat coming in, and we can go through some of those now. If I scroll back here, let's see. If you take a photo with an iPhone, can you bypass Apple Photos and go right to Google Photos? Yes. So if you decide that you want to start using Google Photos, what you would do is you enable Google Photos on your phone, and in your Photos app in the settings, you would turn on Google Photos, right? So that things that are taken with your phone would go to Google Photos, it would upload to Google, and then you would turn off Apple. But you want to make sure that your Apple Photos, this is again, one of these things that we do in the retreat. If you wanted to change the Google Photos, you want to make sure that your Apple stuff syncs to your Google before you totally turn off your Apple Photos.
Does it work that way? Does it work that way for Amazon as well?
I'm not sure with Amazon. I don't really have any experience with it, honestly, but I'm guessing so. I'm just not 100% sure though. It depends on if they have an actual app or if it's just like an online storage, you know? Yeah, so I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Next one is Evernote for mobile device, or can it be used for desktop? Yes, sorry. Evernote is used for all three of them. So you can do it on, I kind of probably went over that fast here. There's a mobile app. There is a web version, right? So you can log on to Evernote just in your internet browser, or you can do the desktop client. You can actually download Evernote as an app on your computer, which is what I like using. I don't really use the web version that much. I use my desktop one probably the most. And yes, Evernote, I believe, is for Android. You can use it on Macs and on Androids as well. CoinHop is an app that's the one I was saying about taking online payments. Yes, it's called CoinHop. It was originally called Skettle, I think, but it's CoinHop. So easy to use. You go in your internet browser, just create an account. You can even do it from your phone, I think, from the app. You add your students, you add their email addresses or their phone numbers. You can do it either way. And then you just send them an invitation saying, hey, I'm connected to CoinHop. You need to click this link to set up, connect your bank account. And then it will go through a process of, if they're connecting their bank account, it'll put like a penny in their account and then, you know, making sure it's connected. It takes a couple of weeks sometimes for it to get connected. So, and then the first of every single month, it will take it out. So June 1st, everybody's payments come out. It does take a couple of weeks for you to get the payment from them, but as long as you are planning, right, when you're getting paid. So like I get my deposit anywhere probably between the 10th and the 15th of the month. And the nice thing is I'm not getting 25 different deposits in my account. I'm getting one payment from CoinHop and the fee's already taken out. And yeah, you can even see the history of what your students have paid. So you can see how long they've paid and so forth. So very easy to use.
Amy, is it possible to do that as instead of a monthly basis, is it possible to get it taken out, like say every 3 months, you know, if it's that kind of payment?
That's the only thing about CoinHop is it's automatic every month. You can pause it, like you can set it up, have it take it out for 1 month, like you would have to go in and hit pause and just pause their account. And then if you wanted it to come out like in 3 months, you would just go in like the 2 weeks before and just resume it. And then on the first of that next month, it would do it. So you would just have to fudge it a little bit and you would just have to pause it and then turn it back on when it's time for the next payment to come out.
But 1% would get taken out of what
Yes.
I would get, but they
Yes.
free for okay, except if they use a credit card. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, the 1% fee is whatever they pay you. You're paying 1% on what you're charging them. The student only pays a fee on their end as well if they use their credit card.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. My students also use PayPal, especially if they are not in the United States. Yep, that's good to use too. Evernote can be used on the web. I use Zelle. Yep, another one. Now Zelle is from your bank accounts, I think. So that is, they can pay you directly from their bank account to yours. Okay, Evernote can be used on any device. Yep. So if somebody doesn't care for the Evernote, that's okay. I find OneNote to be much easier to use than Evernote. They both end up doing about the same thing. Yep. It's all brain stuff. Like I used Microsoft OneNote myself years ago, and I actually personally didn't care for it. Like being able to move stuff around in different locations, like I don't know, it just didn't work for my brain. So that's the nice thing about so many of these different things is they all do a lot of the same thing, and you can just choose which one works best for you. There's no right or wrong answer. It's like, okay, do I like the way that this looks? That this feels? And actually Notion, I mentioned that I'm using Notion now. I use both Evernote and Notion for different things, which I have a podcast episode coming out about that pretty soon. But I actually use Notion now to really organize my life. And I'm doing an event with Joy Morin here. It's actually hush hush. It's not even been announced yet. But in March, we're doing a Notion event on how to organize your life in Notion. So if Notion intrigues you, you might keep that in mind. Virtually. Okay, so somebody was asking about if anybody teaches virtually and what you use. I've used Zoom and Google Meets, but have encountered issues with the audio. So you might try Rock Out Loud Live if you teach online a lot, Christine. I don't have experience with it, but it's one that I'm familiar with that a lot of teachers are using. There's another one, I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head. But they're known, like Rock Out Loud, I think is known to have better audio than Zoom for music lessons. Oh, Amazon. Interesting, Wendy. Amazon has working on a new Zoom type product. That'll be interesting to see what they do. So, all right. Do you guys have any other questions? No?
I think you could probably go on. Did you have another?
Okay.
I do. Yep.
Great.
We
Thank
can
you.
go into round two.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording and start a new one for the second presentation just to keep the file size small. So let me do that.